Welcome to the CSS and HTML tutorial. Previously we looked at just some really basic CSS, just styling the H1 heading, making it a red color. And we linked our style sheet to our HTML web pages. Today we're going to investigate that CSS just a little bit more and look at some more CSS commands. Now there's hundreds and hundreds of CSS commands, and you can never really hold them all in your head at the same time. So when adding style to a document, it's always a good idea to go and look at some things that you can do with CSS online. So go and search for how do I change the, say, background color of a web page, or how do I change the font, something like that. I'm just going to introduce a few more bits of CSS, and you'll see how quickly this page begins to change. So we've got our 3 pages that look fairly similar, and the documents are here. I'm just going to jump straight back to my style sheet, and I'm going to change the font of our main heading. So at the moment it looks like it's Times New Roman or something like that. I want to make it Arial or something similar. Now this is called a serif font, and it's a little bit hard to see, but if I zoom in a little bit, on the edges of each of the strokes there's these little flicks that come out, and we call those serifs. So this is a serif font. We can also make a sans-serif font, and sans in Latin means no or none, so it means it's without these little flicks at the end of each of the letter strokes. So let's make a sans-serif. Let's turn this H1 into a sans-serif font. So I do that by, inside of my curly brackets for my H1 tag, I'm going to add a new line, and I'm going to say font dash family colon space, and then type in sans S-A-N-S dash serif S-E-R-I-F semicolon, and I'm going to save that. Of course, if you feel like pausing the video at any point to see more closely the things that I've typed, please feel free to do that so you can follow along with me. Okay, so now I've saved my my definition for my H1 tag to include a sans-serif typeface or font. Let's go back to our page and refresh and see what it looks like. Cool, so you can see this has changed font a little bit, and if I zoom right in, the strokes of the letters no longer have those little flicks at the end. And this is, I guess you'd find a lot more sans-serif typefaces like this online than you would serif typefaces. And I'll notice also that my page B and C have changed. Great, so what if I wanted to add, say, a background color to my whole web page? Well, if we go back to the web page, say page A, and look at what tags the whole page has got around it, we know that inside the head are the things that are not visible on the page, and inside the body is everything that we see in the page. And we have a body tag that opens here, and if we scroll all the way down, we have a body tag that closes here. So everything on our page is inside the body, so we can give a background color to our body. Let's try that in our CSS. So now I'm going to write a new definition. I'm no longer working with H1, so I'm going to go after the brackets and press enter a couple of times, and this time I'm going to type in the word body and put those 2 curly brackets in. And between those 2 curly brackets I'm going to type background dash color, C-O-L-O-R, looking at American spelling, and I'm going to give it a color of yellow. I'll save that, and let's have a look at what our web page looks like now, or our web pages. So refresh, and now you can see we've got this yellow color, and that's consistent across all of the pages within our site. So let's change our H2, let's make it also sans-serif, and let's make that one, say, light blue. So we'll write a new definition after our closing brackets for our body. So we go after I press enter, h2, curly brackets, and inside those curly brackets we'll say font dash family sans dash serif, and we'll say color, and color means text color, L-I-G-H-T-B-L-U-E, light blue. All one word for light blue. And I'll save that and refresh my web page. And now I've got light blue text. That's actually really hard to see. So I'm going to change the color of my H2s to dark blue. And I can do that simply by replacing the text light blue with just blue. And I'll save that and go back to my web page and refresh. And now my text is blue. Final thing I'm going to do is change the typeface or the font of my paragraphs. Remember, I've got 3 paragraphs here, just to be sans serif as well. So back to my CSS page. I'll press enter a couple of times after my last closing curly bracket. Type in P for paragraph, the 2 curly brackets, and inside those curly brackets I'm going to type font dash family colon sans dash serif semicolon. Save that and refresh. And so this is starting to look like quite a nice looking web page. Now, just to remind you what this looked like before we added any style to it, my browser can do a trick where it turns off the CSS. So I'm just going to quickly turn that off now. And so this is what our web page looked like before we applied CSS to it. And with the CSS on, it looks like this.